great value in heartwarming dribble. Really, I do. I think that in a world where most of our TV and movies are getting grimmer and grimmer with murder, drugs, war, that sort of thing, where the screen is literally getting darker. I mean, I actually have to watch Game of Thrones with the curtains drawn and the lights off, and I have to peer at the screen. Yeah, I think that having something light-hearted that reminds us of the good things in life is okay. And that's where Richard Curtis comes in. So, I'm going to talk about one of his most Curtis-ish films. Most Curtis-ish? So, let's look at Love Actually while I make my family recipes suet-free Christmas pudding. Shall we? I am a huge admirer of Richard Curtis's work. He has worked on some of my favourite television and movies. Notting Hill, Bridget Jones, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Blackadder, Not the 9 O'Clock News, The Vicar of Dibley, his most recent movie, About Time, and many, many others. He's also worked with other people in the industry that I really admire. John Lloyd of Spitting Image and QI fame, and he founded the comedy charity Comic Relief with Lenny Henry. I really love Richard Curtis. If I could have a 16th of his talent and success, I would be wildly happy. But I don't think any film can encapsulate Richard Curtis-ishness like Love Actually does, with its wonderful countdown to Christmas and its wonderful but truly awful Christmas song.
So if you really love Christmas, come on, let it snow.
It has all the Curtis trimmings.
Hugh Grant, Colin Firth, Rowan Atkinson, Bill Nighy and his Bill Nighy laugh, and more famous actors than you can shake a stick at.
There's also a thing where there's always a character called Bernard, who is usually a buffoon or has something bad happen to them, because Richard Curtis once lost a great love of his life to a guy called Bernard Jenkins, who is now a Tory MP. In Love Actually, it's one of Emma Thompson's sons that's called Bernard, or Bernie. And last on the list is all of the unattainable women. Yeah, Curtis has a habit of writing women as these far-off, angelic creatures, admired from afar, and yet somehow our bumbling British hero will win over her heart with his awkward social turtleness. Seriously, think about it. All of the women in Richard Curtis movies have this sort of formula. Julia Roberts in Notting Hill is this far-off, unattainable movie star. In Four Weddings and a Funeral, it's this American woman who keeps leaving every time he sees her. About Time, again American, Rachel McAdams is just this ridiculously beautiful woman who he has to acquire through use of time travel to make her fall in love with him. And in Love Actually, it's even more painfully obvious.
You have the best friend with the best friend's wife, the Prime Minister who wants to have sex with his secretary,
which is A, bad employer-employee relations, B, you're the freaking Prime Minister! Talk about power asymmetry in a relationship.
although it does give him the chance to give the greatest "Fuck you America" speech of all time.
Fuck you, America. We're coming back for our Tsars. You're just traitors to the crown. You'll be part of the empire again.
There's Colin Firth's character with his Portuguese cleaning lady, who is unattainable in that they don't even speak the same language.
And again, these are really bad employer-employee power relations.
There's the adorable baby Jojen Reed, who's in love with a girl in class and who doesn't even know his name, and runs dramatically through an airport to get to her.
You know, in 2003, post 9/11, there is absolutely no way that little boy could make that run through Heathrow Airport, one of the busiest thoroughfares in the world.
Although I do like the idea of Liam Neeson doing a version of his Taken speech in this movie to Joanna.
I don't know who you are, but I will look for you, I will find you, and I will make you date my stepson.
And the last of these unattainable women is the
sexy, young
apparently good looking to some people, secretary that works in Alan Rickman's office. And to that I just say, fuck you, Alan Rickman! Fuck you! You do not cheat on Emma Thompson! No! No, you do not! Bad Alan Rickman! And he is a terrible employer too. Not only does he want to sleep with one of his own employees, he actively encourages his other employees to hook up, and rather than dealing with the sex pest in the office for sexual harassment, he just warns the girls to stay away from him at the Christmas party. Alan Rickman, you are a terrible boss, and I have no idea what you do for a living either in this movie. Back to the point, unattainable women. It's not a problem in itself, but when every woman has the character development of a fly, it does wear things down a bit. Because these movies are always done from a male perspective, which is understandable. Some people just can't write from the perspective of the opposite gender, and it's probably better to not do it than do a really crappy job at it. And you could say that the men are just as trope-tastic, all being the same bumbling hero. As much as I think this portrayal of women is a bad thing, I think there might actually be a plausible justification for it. Why might it be okay for our leading ladies to actually be pretty dull? The romantic love story in Curtis movies isn't the one that matters most. Most of his movies are actually much more closely related to the love of friends and love of families. Look at the friendship group in Notting Hill or in Bridget Jones and the way that they all rally around our hero. And especially in About Time, Richard Curtis's latest movie, how it's really just a film about a relationship between a son and a father. In Love Actually, it's relationships like that between Liam Neeson and Emma Thompson, between Laura Linney and her brother, and also between Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman's characters. Another thing that I think Richard Curtis does quite well is look at the dark side of love and how sometimes you stay with someone even though they've hurt you because it's for the best, or you think that you can make another go at it, or because they're your family and you just have a duty to them no matter how difficult they make your life. Something that was pointed out to me in an article that I read was that Richard Curtis gives these two meatier love stories to the over-30s actresses in the movie. It's Emma Thompson and Laura Linney who don't get happily ever afters and don't get the man of their dreams. And why is that? Why is it okay for the young, good-looking women to get men like Colin Firth and Hugh Grant, but not Emma Thompson and Laura Linney? When Richard Curtis was asked about this, he just said, "I apologise unreservedly." It's not the best reaction in the world, it's better than not realising that you've done something wrong, but you would have thought that someone would have noticed it during the making of the movie. I still have a lot of steps to go through making this pudding. What else can I say about this film? Bill Nye. I love Bill Nye. I really like the stupid Christmas song. I think it's very reminiscent of actual Christmas songs that we hear every year. Although I'd say that trend isn't quite as prevalent as it was at the time that that movie was released. Oh, that Prime Minister's speech, the Fuck You America speech, that was actually so resonant in Britain that Tony Blair had to make mention of it in his Labour conference speech. 2003 was a time when us Brits were feeling pretty under the thumb of an American president who had, we felt, strong-armed our way into a war we didn't want to be in.
If it's flawed, then that's okay, because I still think it has a lot to offer. It is now a standard part of Christmas movie canon. It's great to watch with your family. It's comfortable and it's comforting, like a blanket. Yes, it's a little mindless and the female characters aren't thought out as well as they should be, but I like comforting and I like silly and I like happy endings. And I don't think we have enough of those. We do have a media landscape of misery and drudgery and drama, which is changing, the direction is shifting, but I still appreciate as much as possible of the lighter side of things. I think Richard Curtis has a real talent for capturing those sorts of love stories, and especially the very Britishness of British romantic couples and how awkward we are and how difficult we find dating. Although that's probably more of a universal thing than I'm thinking it is. And as I said before, he's also really good at capturing the stories that matter. Friends, family, those sorts of relationships are the ones that you actually find he spends most of his time writing about. The female love interests just aren't as important as family and friends.
Now, I need to leave this mixture standing overnight. Firstly, so that all the spices can be properly infused into the mixture, and also so the rest of my family get a chance to make their Christmas wish. So I can't show you the rest of the steps today, but I do, in true Blue Peter fashion, have one I made earlier. And fingers crossed this works. Please work, please work, please work, please work, please work. Woo! Keep the flames in the oven and out of the comments section. I'm the Feminist Baker. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.